Trump goes after another TV host, and now he plans to come face-to-face with Vladimir Putin.
Oh, ladies, there is so much to talk about today. Political analysts Wendy Patrick, Laura Fink, they join us with more. Ladies, let's start with the tweets. Morning Joe, anchor Mika Brzezinski, what is going on? Where did this even come from, Laura?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that when President Trump is feeling the pinch, maybe it's the pressure of the Russia investigation or the health care bill failing in the Senate this week, that he tends to attack women and he tends to exert his power over women. So we saw that first with the Irish reporter that he called out of the pool while he was on the phone with the Prime Minister, evaluating her looks like a beauty contestant. And then we saw him lash out at Mika Brzezinski. Now remember, the show's called Morning Joe, and both hosts were critical. But out of all of the public criticism, he isolated a woman. He tends to demonstrate his power over women when he feels pinched. And I think that is something that we saw, and that is the point of the tweets.
Right. Okay, Wendy, I want to bring you in this too, because I want to talk about what exactly he said. And many are wondering, is this just the new form of communication with the president? Is on Twitter. He said, I heard poorly rated Morning Joe speaks badly of me. Don't watch anymore. Then how come low IQ? Crazy Mika, along with Psycho Joe, came to Mar-a-Lago 3 nights in a row around New Year's Eve and insisted on joining me. She was bleeding badly from a face lift? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I said no.
Oh boy.
Wendy?
Shelley, it's hard to even hear those words. We've heard them so many times over the last couple of days. Everybody's in agreement. It's beneath the office of the presidency. And it's ironic that we're talking about it today because this week, President Trump probably had some of the biggest successes that he's had so far in his presidency. I mean, think about it. The Supreme Court sided with his administration's argument on the travel ban, at least in the interim, before they hear it on the merits. Kate's Law, we've got some movement on that. I mean, remember the CNN issue a couple of days ago? This has been a week full of successes. Now it's been a wrench thrown in by the president himself. Now, let me go back to your original question, Shelley.
Yes.
The president is being accused of having weaponized Twitter. If that's true, everybody else seems to be jumping on that bandwagon because, as I hate to say it, we do see Twitter being used from all angles in ways that it was never intended. You know, we see the same thing with Facebook. It's almost a perversion of a positive social media platform that was designed for an entirely different purpose.
I think some would argue, Wendy, that we just don't expect it from the President of the United States.
Absolutely, and his supporters would say the same thing. In fact, they're in the toughest position of all. You know, you just showed that footage of the dinner last night. Boy, Melania looked very uncomfortable. She did come forward and through her spokesperson say he hits back 10 times harder, but we're talking about 10 eyes for an eye. Is that something you expect from the President of the United States? That is the argument that his supporters are having a tough time. The one thing they are going to say, and they've already said this to some extent, it's true presidents are remembered more for what they did than for what they said. But what he's been saying is really distracting the country from some of the things he's trying to focus on that he's doing that are positive for everyone.
What I find interesting is that you mentioned all the successes that he had yesterday overshadowed by this tweet. But then you have the press briefing where they say, well, again, it's the media's fault for covering the tweet over the successes that he had yesterday. It's like we're in a lose-lose over here. I mean, you see the press conference, the press briefing from the White House, and you just want to bash your head against the wall. I don't even know how you handle that. How are we not supposed to cover this?
Well, he knows that he's going to make news when he tweets, and he does so on purpose. I think he's out of control. He is a shoot from the hip kind of president. And I do think that the media has covered the policy issues, but if he hasn't learned by now that it's going to instantaneously move to his tweets, you know, he knows what he's doing. This is deliberate. And so, Raul, to your point, I also think that the attack on the media is one that he has relied upon since his presidency's infancy, since the beginning of his campaign. And it's one that's tried and true, but also one that's wearing a little thin, particularly when it comes to these self-inflicted wounds.
During the campaign, though, this is what we got from Donald Trump, and this is the same behavior we got from Donald Trump And this is what he's doing now as president, surprising no one. This is how he got his support. This is how he became president of the United States. So is there something to be said for the fact that, well, his supporters, people who voted for Trump, this is the guy they wanted in the White House with this attitude and this personality?
Well, that's a great point. I was actually going to tag on to what Laura said. It's true. You know, he's a scrapper, and people that voted for him.
That's what they wanted.
They wanted that, and they wanted that for different reasons. They didn't want that because they want to read tweets like this. Nobody wants to read tweets like this. But they want more jobs. They want different health care. They want national security, border security. They want all the things he stands for, so they're often willing to say, with this kind of personality and temperament, we're going to have to put up with this. And nobody can deny that, because how many times were we talking, all four of us, during the campaign about, oh my gosh, I can't believe, is this going to finally be the thing that he said that brings him down?
We want to give both of you ladies your final thoughts, and if you can address as well, President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin will be meeting G20 summit. What do you think they're going to talk about? Laura, we're going to start with you.
Well, I'm not sure what they're going to talk about. Maybe they'll talk about how to start a land war in Eastern Europe, or what kind of horses they like, or how they can exchange state secrets. But one thing that I do know is that Trump's attacks on women always follow when he's feeling weakest. However, we also see that they could be his downfall, particularly because one of the things with respect to the healthcare vote, 3 female senators hang in the balance: Lisa Murkowski, Shelley Moore Caputo, and Susan Collins. And you don't get to their swing votes by insulting women generally. He needs women, and he needs to learn how not to have powerful women get under his craw.
All right, Wendy. Laura got like 38 seconds, which is okay.
I saw that.
We don't have a buzzer. We'll work on the buzzer next week. Okay,
it was
Wendy.
Good stuff. One of the things that I hope they talk about is obviously the alliance between our two countries, and that ties right into what I really wanted to say about as we go into 4th of July weekend. As we go into celebrating 4th of July, we celebrate that we are a country united. We just talked about Twitter. Let us challenge ourselves this weekend to, instead of using Twitter to tear each other down, use it to empower, to inspire, to encourage, to really form the kinds of relationships that'll bring these social media platforms back to the way we really want to use them. And let's make sure we can do that together. Happy 4th of July.
Ladies, thank you both. Happy 4th of July to you.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.
Wendy, you crushed me today on the timing.
We'll work on a ding or a buzzer next time.
A ding or a buzzer is good.
A ding or a buzz. Okay, ladies, thank you.
All right, thanks.